Shujiputram Patra Surupam Rupam Tasyagrajamuri Purim Maturim Gustvatim Radha Kunda Givaram Aurarikam Hadvasam Rapto Yas Vajita Kripaya Shri Guru Tam Natos Kurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaye Tadali Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Hemapadivyascha Visundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya Virina Aparaga Lakshmi Chita Sham Sundar Shikandashi Smarhas Murali Banora Radhikaraska Mama Kripanidhe Sabriya Charna King Kurim Kuru Tavaivasmi Na Jivamittaya Vina Jivikyaya Devi Tam Namam Charanam. First of all, I offer my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadev Paramarada Tama Guru Parapadam, Nitya-lila Pravishnu Om Vishnu Pad, Ashtodara Satasishimad, Rupanugacharya Varya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the feet of my Guru's Guru, to his Guru and his Guru and his Guru, and all the great saints in the unbroken line of spiritual masters, going back thousands of years to Sri Krishna himself. And finally, I offer my pranam to all of you, my very dear brothers and sisters. This day, the full moon day, the first day of the month of Chaturmasya, the disappearance day of the great saint Sanatana Goswami. This day, the day upon which Vedanta Sutra was composed, this day is called Guru-Purnima and also Vyasa puja. Guru-Purnima means the full moon day upon which all the disciples of their respective spiritual masters, they worship their spiritual masters. The word Guru can be understood from the etymology. The syllable Gu means andhakar, darkness. So the sense of darkness is metaphorical, it's figurative, because everyone can see that it's not dark. The sun is shining. So here, Gu, meaning darkness, figuratively refers to samsaric asakti, the attachment of our mind and senses to the external, temporary objects of the physical world. This is darkness. We are all spiritual beings, transcendental beings. We are part of God. We are not by nature meant to be confined and subjected to the limitations of physical time and space and the unfolding of karma, which crushes us again and again through the cycle of birth, old age, disease and death, and then rebirth, and again lifetime after lifetime. This is not our true nature. Only because our consciousness has the samsaric asakti, attachments to the experience of the frivolous and insignificant pleasures of the senses and contacting the external objects of the world. Only because of this, our consciousness is subjected to the tribulations, the traumas, the disasters of worldly experience. So, this darkness has to be removed. So the syllable Ru in Sanskrit indicates nivritti, the removal. So Guru, one who removes darkness. Now darkness is not a thing that can be removed. If you come into a room, say, oh, the room is full of darkness, I'll just pack it into this bag and take it outside. Darkness is not a thing that can be removed, because darkness is just the absence of light. Darkness is only the absence of light. So, the attachment to the external world, that darkness, is only calm, means lust, egotistical desire. So the opposite of that is divine love. That is called Prem in Sanskrit. Atmandriya prati vancha taribalikam krishnendriya prati icha dari premana. The desire to satisfy, to indulge your own senses is called kam or lust. And the desire just to please the divine senses of God is called love. So Guru means the person who, by filling one's heart with the light of divine love for Krishna, dispels the darkness of worldly attachment. That is called Guru. So on this day, all students around the world, feeling great respect and extreme gratitude to their spiritual masters, they perform the ritual of worship of Shri Guru, offering flowers. This offering of flowers symbolizes actually the offering of the heart, because anyone cannot repay their spiritual master. The person who, with great patience, with great diligence, again and again, tries to educate, to engage, to inform and gradually enlighten a soul so that they can come out from the suffering of material existence and meet face to face with God. So the person who uses their precious time to help us in this way, we can never repay them. So at least symbolically, on the Guru-Purnima, all the students there worshipping their respective spiritual masters. This day is also called Vyasa puja. Vyasa is the great sage who has compiled all the Vedic literatures of India. So, perhaps some of you have heard, someone heard of Bhagavad Gita? Yes, you've heard of Bhagavad Gita. So that Bhagavad Gita is just one chapter in a very huge epic text called the Mahabharata. Has everyone heard of the Mahabharata? No? Okay. So, originally, the Vedic mantras, they were not written down. But, due to certain circumstances, a wonderful personality was born on this day named Vyasadeva. And he committed all the Vedic mantras and Vedic teachings to writing. And then he explained them in the Puranas, in the Vedanta Sutra, in the Mahabharata, and within that in Bhagavad Gita, to try to make transcendental knowledge more accessible to the people in general. So, how Srila Vyasadeva appeared, why Srila Vyasadeva appeared? We want to discuss this briefly. Thousands and thousands of years ago, there was a great sage named Gautama Rishi. He was doing austerities in the forest of Dandakaranya. And Lord Brahma, the premier amongst the demigods, became pleased with Gautama Rishi. And he descended and he gave him a gift of seeds that would produce their crop just almost instantaneously and not in season at any time of the year. So they were potent seeds, not available. There, Lord Brahma had done some GMO. He had created them in such a way that they were not like the seeds on earth. So he gave them to Gautama Rishi, and then Gautama Rishi from Dandakaranya went to a mountain called Saptashringa, a mountain that had 7 peaks. And he made his ashram there, and he was living peacefully with his disciples. So when he arrived there, he took those seeds and planted them in the ground, and very soon he saw, they were growing. And when he harvested them, it was growing again. So happily he lived there with his disciples. Everything that all the food they needed was coming to them easily. After some time, the nation was struck by a famine. And there was practically hardly any food available anywhere, except for in the ashram of Gautama Rishi. So at that time, there were some sages, and they were traveling, and gradually, on their travels, they came upon the ashram of Gautama Rishi. Gautama Rishi invited them, "Oh, please, stay here." He honored them, and he fed them, and he took care of them throughout the duration of the famine. And then when the famine was over, then those rishis, they had a desire to return to their native homelands. So they begged permission from Gautama Rishi We are your guests, we are so satisfied to stay here. Your hospitality was incomparable. But now, please allow us to return to our native countries. But in Vedic culture, it's the custom that if you have a guest, that you say, no, just stay one more day. If you're feeding them when they've finished, then but just have just a little bit more. And so you should always, just in case the guest is shy, because the guest maybe I'm shy, I shouldn't take too much, but really, in their heart, they want some more. So you should be very hospitable and always try to help the guests overcome their shyness and take as much as they want and stay as long as they want. So Gautama Rishi was extending the traditional Vedic hospitality to his guests. Oh, stay another day. And then the next day, please stay another day. And time was going on, and they saw that he just won't let us leave. But we really have to go. So then they thought, we'll have to employ a deception. So these rishis, they had some mystic power from their yoga sadhana. They had some siddhis, some perfections from their yoga sadhana. So by their yoga sadhana, they manifested an illusory form of a cow. And it was standing at the entrance to Gautama Rishi's ashram. So he'd been out, and when he returned, he saw this cow was standing there. And he thought, oh, such a beautiful cow, and he folded his hands. Because in Vedic culture, the cows are respected, like your mother, because they give you milk. So, and also, you'll see that in civilization, where the cows that give us milk are honored and respected, then all the people in that society will be very humane and kind to each other. But once civilization crosses the line of killing these very defenseless creatures who are so generous to us, then humanity slowly degrades into animality. Because the nature of an animal is that it can inflict cruelty without conscience. An animal will just eat another animal alive and think nothing of it. We like animals and everything, but they're actually like psychopaths. Because they can kill others without any shred of remorse. So once human beings cross that line, now they have departed from the jurisdiction of human civilization and entered into the animal world. So the respect of, sometimes people in the West think that it's really strange that why are these Hindus or Vedic people honoring the cow? But it's like the borderline of civilization. And so the respect that we give to the cow protects humanity and civilization. So it's very important. Anyway, I digressed. Gautama Rishi, he gave honor to the cow and began to offer some prayers and sprinkle some water from his kamandalu. It's a way of glorifying the cow. So as soon as he sprinkled some water from his water pot on the cow fell over and died. And then all those rishis came and said, that's it, we're not staying here for a minute longer. How can we live in the house of a person who's killed a cow? So then, Gautama Rishi, he was so sad. Oh my, I've done something quite terrible to kill an innocent cow. And now a very heavy karmic reaction will come to me. So he prayed to those rishis. How can I be released from these sinful reactions? What can I do to save myself from the effect of this very heavy karma that will come to me? What kind of atonement can I do? Those rishis told him, the only atonement is this, that if you sprinkle the water of the Ganges upon this cow, then she will come back to life. So this was a very long time ago. And the Ganges was not available in those days for Gautama Rishi. So Gautama Rishi thought, Lord Shiva always carries the Ganges water in his hair. So he began to pray, Om Namah Shivaya. And he was worshipping Lord Shiva and chanting mantras to Lord Shiva. After some time, Lord Shiva was satisfied with him and he appeared there with his trident and damaru drum. And Gautama Rishi said, Oh Mahadev, Maha-Maha-Yogi, be merciful to me and give me one of your jata, one of your matted locks of hair. So then Lord Shiva mercifully gave him his jata, and Gautama Rishi took it, and it was wet with Ganges water, and he sprinkled it on the cow. Immediately when he sprinkled the water on the cow actually disappeared. So then Gautama Rishi thought, was this cow real or not? And then in his meditation by his mystic powers he realized those brahmanas, those rishis who came here, they tricked me, they deceived me. So then he was very upset. Never upset a rishi, because you know what happens next. Then they get their sacred threads and they pronounce a curse. So he pronounced a curse on those brahmanas. He said that gradually you will forget all the Vedic mantras. You will lose your knowledge. And so this is what began to happen. Gradually, in the dynasty of the priests, the power of their memory, their ability to recall the instructions of the Vedas was fading. And there was a danger that the Vedic knowledge would disappear from the world. So at that time, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra and other devatas who have managerial positions within the nature, within the universe, they prayed to Lord Narayana. Hey Bhagavan, what will happen to the world if this Vedic knowledge disappears? Please do something so that everyone may be saved from their ignorance. So then the Supreme Lord, he agreed. I will appear in this world in the incarnation of a sage, and I will re-manifest all the Vedic knowledge that was slowly being lost. And because of this promise that Supreme Lord gave to Brahma, Shiva and the Devatas, therefore he appeared, he was born on this day more than 5,000 years ago on an island in the Jamuna river, just in Mathura actually, in between Mahavan forest, Mathura, and Lohavan forest on the other side. So, his full name is Krishna Dvayapayana Viasadev, the author or compiler of the Vedas. His full name is Krishna Dvayapayana Viasadev. His name is Krishna because he is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord in the form of a rishi. His name is Dvayapayana because he was born on a dweep, that means an island, in the midst of the flowing current of the sacred Yamuna. His name is Vyasa because originally all the Vedic mantras were just in one aggregate, one conglomerate of statements that was called Yajur Veda. But gradually it was being lost. And Vyasadeva, he thought, if I organize it into distinct departments, and then those departments can be entrusted to different rishis, because the memory of the people is going down. So there's not many persons, Brahmins, who are Chaturvedi. You know, that means they're expert in all 4 Vedas. There are some Dvivedi and Trivedi. They know 2 Vedas or 3 Vedas. But not many are expert in the all 4 Vedas, Chaturvedi. There are some, like my Vishnuji Shastri, Chaturvedi. So he decided to organize them into 4 parts. So he divided the mantras of the Vedas into 4 parts. The first part, the Rig Veda, he gave to his disciple Paila Rishi. The Sama Veda, he gave to his disciple Jaimini Rishi. The part that was now called Yajo Veda, he gave to his disciple Vaisanpayan. And then the Atharva Veda, he gave to his disciple Sumantu Rishi. He's also known as Angira Rishi. And then the mantras which were left over became the Puranas. And the Puranas were entrusted to his disciple Roma Harshan Sutta. So all these personalities on this day, along with Vyasadeva, we worship him along with his prominent disciples. You can see they're present here. We'll explain this spectacular arrangement and ritual a little bit later. But all those rishis that we've been discussing, they're all present here today in their symbolic manifestation as walnuts. So, actually, this is probably the first time ever in the history of the universe. Because I'll just say something about this. This is a very ancient ceremony which is performed on the Vyasa puja Guru-Purnima day. And even on this day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, they used to do this. There's a parity, a manual that they followed to do this. So our previous gurus acquired this manual, and so we follow the practice even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu used to do on this day. But in this, 35 different personalities are honored, and they're invited to be present into kalashes with coconuts and mango leaves. But if you do everything with coconuts and kalashes and mango leaves, then this ritual will fill the whole apartment. So, and that's what in India we do it like that in the full scale. I think last year I was in Rome, right? So in Rome we did it also on the full scale. And you have seven separate priests offering the worship to the 35 personalities, 7 groups of 5, like this. But when Vrindavan Vilasini invited me to come here, I said, that's impossible. We can't, there's no way we'll be able to do this ancient ritual in your small apartment. There'll be no room for the people once all the coconuts are set up. So I said, can we just make a miniature version? He said, alright, I'll try. And there it is. The very first scaled down miniature version of the ancient Vedic Vyasa Puja ceremony, with the coconuts being substituted by walnuts. So, but it looks so beautiful. All the names of the rishis are on the flags. Perhaps these leaves are not mango leaves.
No.
Not so many mango trees growing in Switzerland. But anyway, it looks like the real thing just scaled down. When I look at it, I just kind of feel about 18 feet tall. So it's so beautiful. So at the end of the seminar today, we can all partake in this ceremony. So, because he divided the Veda, so his name is Veda Vyasa. So, Krishna Dvayapayana Viasadev. The word Vyas in Sanskrit means diameter. If you draw a circle and make a line that goes from side to side but passing through the middle, that line is called the diameter, and it divides the circle. So, Vyas means diameter, or that which divides. So his name is Veda Vyasa because he divided the Vedas into 4 parts, and he's the diameter because he's touching both sides. His consciousness is such that at once he can see the spiritual world and he can see the material world. So his consciousness is touching both sides, and his consciousness passes through the center. That means the source of all existence. He's absorbed in the realization of Krishna. So his name is Vyasa. Krishna Dvayapayana Viasadev. So today is his birthday, and we're so indebted to him, because without him we would have no Vedas, no Mahabharata, no Bhagavad Gita, no Vedanta Sutra, and especially the topmost, the supreme of all transcendental literatures is Shrimad Bhagavatam. That is the greatest contribution of Srila Vyasadeva. So we want to discuss briefly how Vyasa came to manifest within this world the absolute cream of all spiritual knowledge in one volume, the Bhagavad Purana or the Shrimad Bhagavatam. More than 5,000 years ago, Srila Vyasadeva was living in his cave in the Himalayan mountains. Very high up, if you go up to Badrik Ashram, Badrinath, then that's also so high in the Himalayas that for half of the year everyone evacuates that place. It's buried in snow. And then when the snow starts to melt, then everyone goes back and the worship in the temple of Badrinath continues. So if you go up to Badrinath, and then from there you can get up to there by coach. But after that it becomes more difficult to go further up into the mountains. You have to go by four-wheel drive jeeps. So then you go another about 7 kilometers up the Himalayas. After that you come to a village called Humana. And then the jeeps can't go any further. Then you have to continue on foot. So then you continue on foot for a few kilometers also past Humana, and you come to a cave. And it's the place where the Ganges meets with the Saraswati river, called Keshava Prayaga. So Vyasa was living there in that cave. Has anyone been to that cave? No? Who would like to go? Okay. Then maybe I'll take you there next year.
Oh. Yeah.
So in the very early in the morning, Vyasa went to the Saraswati river and he took bath in the cold water. Then he came out and he sat down on an asana on his seat. He has very long hair in jata tied on his head in matted locks, and long beard also in jata. He has dreadlocks in his beard also. And he was sitting in meditation. So that place is called Shamyaprash Ashram. Samyaprash means it's so peaceful that the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, those are the primeval forces of creation, destruction and equilibrium. They were in equal proportion there, so they're all in balance. So the entire atmosphere of that place is very, very conducive for meditation. So he was sitting in meditation and he thought to himself, I don't feel complete. I don't feel satisfied. I have tried my best to serve my spiritual master Narada. His guru's name Narada Muni. I tried my best to serve my guru by dividing the Vedas, presenting the Puranas, presenting the topmost philosophy of Vedanta Sutra, and then to make all this knowledge easily understandable to regular people, just farmers and housewives, everyone. I gave the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita. But still, even though I tried to serve my Guru and I tried to serve God to the best of my ability, but for some reason, my heart is not feeling complete. I'm not feeling the tushti, santosh, satisfaction. So just as he was thinking in this way, then he heard a sound. In the sky. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. 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 His guru appeared there. Narada Muni plays a veena. It's like a veena? It's like a sitar, but a sitar has the sound box only at one end. And a veena has the gourd at both ends. So it's like a big, really big sitar with two resonating sound boxes, one at each end. So Narada was playing his veena, and by his mystic powers he was flying, and he landed there at the ashram of Vyasa. So when Vyasadeva saw his guru, he bowed down and offered him a seat and some water, and then he sat there with folded hands, eager to hear instructions from the lips of his spiritual master. Narada was smiling. He said, "Oh Vyasa, are you feeling satisfied?" It was exactly what he'd just been thinking. Now he's good. Are you feeling satisfied? Are you feeling complete? Vyasadeva, no Gurudev. And Narada said, can a person be happy if they accept the body or even the mind to be themselves? So it was a rhetorical question. Because we're all spiritual in nature, if you think that the be-all and end-all of your identity is this physical body, that you are Swiss, or Spanish, or Russian, that you are male or female, or young or old, or black or white, any of these things, then you will never be satisfied. Because that is simply not who we are. Even though, due to contaminated consciousness, we have very strong intuitive feeling that we are physical beings. Very, very strong. It's so strong that the common person doesn't even stop to think whether this is who they are or not. The question doesn't even arise. Of course this is. Of course I'm a bag of blood and mucus and urine and undigested food and fat and bone. That's who I am. Scientists calculated how many different elements, how much copper, magnesium, carbon, and hydrogen, water is in the body, in the average body, and they added it all up, and it came to about $2.50. So is that you? Are you really $2.50 worth of chemicals? No. That's really an unsatisfactory conclusion. So Narada Muni, he asked this rhetorical question. Now, Vyasa, he knows that he's not this physical body. So why did his guru ask this question to him? Vyasadeva said, O Gurudev, Tvam Padyatam Arka Ivati Lokim Antascharo Vayur Ivatma Shakshi Paravari Dharmato Paravari Paravari Brahmani Dharmato Bratai Snatasya Nyunam Alam Vichakshwa. He said, O Gurudev, just as the sun travels throughout the universe and sees everything externally, you are like that. And just as the pran is moving inside the body and sees everything internally, so you are like that. You are like Atma Shakshi, the Paramatma, the form of God who resides in the heart along with every soul. You're exactly like that. In other words, he's saying, Oh Gurudev, you see everything outwardly and inwardly. So you know whether I feel satisfied or not. And even though Paravare Brahmani Dharmato Bratai, I am engaged in austerities and daily practice of meditation, following the Vedas, but still, Snatasya me nyunam alam vichakshva, I am feeling something is missing, I am insufficient. Please describe why I am feeling insufficient. So then, Narada Muni, he said to him, Bhavata anudito prayam yasho bhagavato malam yeneva aso natuseta tat manye tad darshanam kilam. It means the reason is this: you haven't described the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. You said something in the Mahabharata, there's something in the Gita, there's something about Krishna, but it's mainly philosophy. It's not really his sweet and beautiful loving pastimes. So he said, Yasho Bhagavato Malam, you didn't express the beautiful loving pastimes of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And it's for this reason that you're not satisfied. And because of this, your darshan, that means your philosophy, your vision of reality is limited, is insufficient, it's incomplete. This is the reason. Narada Rishi said, Tatanyata kinchita yad vivakshita pritagdishastat krita rupa kanadi na kaishit kapi na dushtita mati labhita vatahata na rivaspadam. Hey Vyasadeva, in all of your Vedic literatures, you've described many different subjects. You've described how a person can be very religious and make good karma for themselves, so that they can be happy in this life and in the next life go have a higher birth, perhaps in a heavenly planet. You've described how people can perform austerities and become purified and get mukti, nirvana, liberation. So the soul can become free from karma. You've described that. You've also described sadhana of yoga sadhana, by which a person can develop supernatural powers as well. Powers to become invisible, powers to become heavy, to float, to read others' minds, and to give up your life by your own will. There are so many mystic powers. There are 8 prominent yoga siddhis and 10 secondary yoga siddhis. So, Vyasa, you've described all of these things. But the problem with this is that the one reality is God Himself. Idam mi vishvam bhagavan nivetaro yato jagatstana niroda sambhava taddi swayam veda pradam stadati pite Pradeshamatram Bhavatam, Pradeshamatram. The meaning is that Idami Vishwam Bhagavan Ivetro. This universe is itself one form of God. This is shocking. Why? Because we have the Pritag Drisha. That means our vision is divided. When we look at the environment around us, we see a random chaos of so many individual, completely individual, independent substances, which are all just going here and there. Sometimes bumping with each other, sometimes meeting, sometimes being separated from each other. We just see so many forces and objects just randomly being mixed together, and we don't realize that there are no independent realities, that everything is one truth, and it is all a manifestation of the Shakti, of that one Supreme Lord. And because of that, we have many topics to discuss. Actually, there's only one topic to discuss, Krishna. The only subject to discuss is the absolute truth, Krishna. But because our vision is disintegrated, because it is separated, because we don't experience the harmony of the symphony of God's energy, one being moving His energies everywhere, therefore our mind is bewildered and we become caught up in so many names and forms, and we invent so many subjects and departments of knowledge. Now what happens is, when we speak anything which is separate in vision from God, then that makes the mind oscillate. So if you discuss any subject separately from God, whatever it is, economics, biology, the medicine, history, whatever it is, but you conceive of things and describe things as having an existence independent from that one reality, then just that sound vibration, that discussion makes the mind oscillate. And as long as the mind is oscillating, then we're in a state of dizziness. If a lake is very, very still, then when you look, you can clearly see your reflection. But if the lake is oscillating, then everything is moving. So in the same way, when your mind is completely still and peaceful, then reflected in your still mind, you can see your soul. And you can see God also. But as long as the mind is oscillating, then you won't be able to understand yourself or God. So then, the ego comes, that if you look at your reflection, you are still, but your reflection is moving. So an ego comes that I'm moving. Though we are souls and we are transcendently situated, we are fixed. But we feel like I'm getting up and walking here and there, lying down, standing up, talking, eating, blinking, traveling here and there by airplane. So all this is just darkness, an egotistical conception due to the oscillation of the mind. So Narada Muni told Vyasadeva, you described all these different subjects like piety, to enjoy the world, how to get nirvana, liberation, how to get mystic powers and so on. But all these subjects which are spoken of independently of God just causes everyone's mind to oscillate. And as long as the mind does not find complete stability and realization of the soul, then that soul is just lost and wandering through the illusion of material existence, and they can never get out. So Narada Muni told him, Jugupsitam Dhamma Kritanu Shashata. These instructions that you've given about being religious and pious, this is actually abominable. It's abominable. You should have written just all about devotion to Krishna. The vision of that one reality, whereby everyone can go into samadhi, into trance, and then transcend this material world. So Narada Muni said, O Vyasadeva, have you written that although Krishna is all-powerful, all-pervading and all-knowing, but he has the pastime of becoming a little baby. And when he's a baby, he can't even roll over by himself. And one day, when he rolled over, then Mother Yashoda had a big celebration. Oh, my baby rolled over all by himself. Have you written this anywhere? Who can imagine that God is all powerful, plays like a child, just to exchange love with the souls? Vyasadeva said, oh, have you written that Krishna, he plays like a little boy, running here and there in the forest with his friends. Sometimes his friends defeat him in the games, and then the loser has to pay the forfeit of carrying the winner on his shoulders. So have you written that Krishna is carrying his friend on the shoulders through the forest, and his friend is saying, oh, carry me more smoothly. Bossy. Vyasa says, no, Gurudev, I haven't written it. Then what have you written? If you've explained all philosophical ideas, but you haven't explained about love, then what? Plato said that love is the beauty of philosophy. In other words, philosophy is beautiful when it leads us to the divine love. So then Narada Muni said, have you written that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, plays like an adolescent boy and falls in love? That he plays a flute in the middle of the night, and so many beautiful gopis and Radharani, they come to meet him. Have you written that he bows down to Radharani and very romantically says, Na paryam nirvajyasamyudyam swasadhu krityam vibhushayo chapiva yam ma bhajadurjaya geya sankala samrishatadra pratiyatu sadhana. Oh Radhika, I can never repay. I am your debt, in your debt for millions of years. Because you have broken all the shackles of the household life. You have sacrificed everything in this life and the next, just for me. So may you be satisfied, may you be compensated only by your own generous, liberal nature. That means the reward, I cannot reciprocate your love, but the reward for the love that you have is the love itself. That is the reward. So Narada Muni said, Vyasadeva, have you written this? Vyasadeva said, no, Gurudev. Then what have you written? You will have to write all of these things. So then Narad gave a mantra to Vyasa. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Vasudevaya Dhimahi Prajumnaya Niruddhaya Namaha Sankashanaya Cha. This mantra he gave. And he said, you should meditate on this mantra and go into samadhi. And all the things, all the wonders of the divine love in the transcendental world, by this mantra they will be revealed to you. So then Narad, he was playing his veena and singing kirtan, flew away. After his guru had gone, Vyasadeva bowed down to him, then he sat. And then he began to remember the mantra and the instructions of his guru. His guru told him, Iti murtyabhidhani na mantra murtim amurtikam yajate yagyapurusham manye tad darshana samyak darshana puman. Means, hey Vyasadeva, this mantra is not sound, but it is a sound murti. Iti murtyabhidhani mantra murtim amurtikam. Even though God has no material form, Krishna has a spiritual form. And I am giving you that spiritual form. I am placing this in your heart in the form of this mantra. And if you go into trance, being absorbed in this mantra, you will see the beautiful spiritual form of Krishna, and gradually you will see all of his pastimes. So remembering these instructions. Oh, and then Sa samyak darshana kila, sa samyak darshana puman means, and then your darshan, your vision, your philosophy will be samyak. That means complete. Whatever was missing in you, whatever deficiency you are feeling, if you remember this mantra, you realize it, then that will go away and you will feel totally complete and totally satisfied. Yes. Who would like to feel totally satisfied and totally complete? Anyone? Okay, you're in the right place. Celebrating Srila Vyasadev's birthday. This is the way to go. So then, Narad, he went away, and Vyasadeva was remembering these instructions. Now I'll be able to become complete. And he began to meditate on the mantra. Gradually, bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite male apasya purusham purna mayam chatar upasrayam. He went into samadhi. That means bhakti yogena manasi, by bhakti, by devotion, manasi samyak pranihitale amale. His mind became, all the fluctuations, the oscillations of his mind became completely arrested. And there upon the screen of his pure consciousness, there he saw, like cinema, the pastime of Krishna's birth in this world. How he was playing in the lap of his mother. How when he was a little boy, he went to the forest to take the cows to graze. How he danced on the head of Kaliya. How he lifted Govardhan hill. Oh, how he danced in Rasalila with Radharani and all the gopis. How Akrura came and took him to Mathura, and then later he went to Dwarka. And all the pastimes of Krishna, they just appeared before his eyes spontaneously. This is the power of mantra. Don't forget that. If you have received Diksha mantra from Gurudev, remember it with the greatest reverence and honor 3 times every day. Morning, noon and evening. And then with the relationship of your Diksha mantras chant, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And gradually you will go in samadhi, into trance, and see all the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. So, when Srila Vyasadeva saw this, he realized that, oh, here is the divine realm where Krishna is playing, and here is the material realm. Here is Beza, where all the living entities are wandering here and there in total confusion, with no clue whatsoever about the spiritual world. And seeing those living entities floating in Maya, illusion, on one side, and the spiritual world on the other, then he realized that they can be transferred from Maya into the spiritual world by hearing the description of Krishna's pastimes. So then, Anato pasamam sakshan bhakti yogam adokshate lokasya janato vidvans chakre sattva sanhitam. Vyasadeva, he wrote his final text, the Shrimad Bhagavatam. And that text, Srimad Bhagavatam, kicks out all other motivations, all other activities, every discussion, every idea which is illusory and which is coming from a vision, which is separate from the reality of Krishna's presence everywhere. It is filled with the beautiful pastimes of Krishna and the loving exchanges he has with his devotees. And simply by hearing that Srimad Bhagavatam, Yasham Vaishrumanayam Krishne Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpadite Pungsa Shoka Moha Bhayapa. If you just listen to Krishna's pastimes from the lips of a pure devotee, then a very powerful urge to serve Krishna will sprout in your heart and take over your life. And then when you become fully engaged by body, mind and words in the service of Krishna, then Shoka Moha Bhayapa, all lamentation about the past will be gone. Does anyone have any regrets about anything they did in their life? No regrets, no one. Okay. All the disciples of Frank Sinatra. No regrets. And no fear about the future. No anxiety. Never feel anxiety. Never feel stress, right?
No stress.
And no moha. Moha means bewilderment happening now. When we become under the sway of so many attachments, hankering for things that we don't have. So the mind becomes completely washed free of all lamenting about the past, fearing about the future, and the hankering, the slavery to the senses within the present. All is washed clean. And devotion, very strong current of devotion is initiating the heart simply by listening to this beautiful narration of Krishna's pastimes, Shrimad Bhagavatam. So when Vyasadeva dictated it to Ganesh and it was written down, then Vyasadeva, he felt complete. He was completely blissful, fully satisfied. So today, we're honoring him, and this is the day when we not only honor him but his disciples and all the gurus and all the great teachers and sages who have represented this knowledge. So when a teacher sits down on the asana to speak, then that seat is called Vyasa, the seat of Vyasa. In other words, the speaker of Vedic knowledge never sits down and says, well, I've just invented this new theory. No. When the speaker of Vedic knowledge sits on the seat of Vyasa, then his own conditioning, whatever, even he should be free from that. So that the message of Vyasadeva himself can enter into him and speak that message. So to sit on the Vyasa and speak Vedic knowledge requires that one be completely free from material ego and just become a channel, a conduit, that the very same message that Vyasa spoke, the very same vibration that reveals Krishna's pastimes that he transmitted thousands of years ago will be transmitted to everyone today. Therefore, we worship all our spiritual masters as the manifestations of Vyasa throughout time. So even though it looks as if there are many gurus, but there aren't. There's one guru, only one. The Akhanda Guru Tattva, Krishna himself. And he has appeared as Vyasadeva. He is the original guru. And where his power manifests through certain individuals from the Samasti Guru, the original guru, the power of the Samasti Guru is manifest in the Vyasadi Guru. That means the individual devotee personalities. So also this day, Vyasa Puja Day, is not the day where the spiritual master accepts the worship of his disciples. Never think of it like that. But rather, the Vyasa Puja Day is the day when the Guru engages all of his disciples in the worship of his Guru and all the teachers going back to Vyasa. Is that clear? Madhumango, did you catch that?
No, the last one, no.
Yeah, I noticed. So, the Vyasa Puja is not the day where the Guru accepts worship from the disciples, but it's a day when he engages all the disciples in worshipping his own spiritual master and all the Gurus going back thousands of years to Vyasadeva. Yeah. That's the real meaning of Vyasa Puja. Now, okay, comprehension test. You thought you were coming here for a day off? Wrong. This is Chaitanya Academy. It's like being in university in your in the final months, but harder than that. If something, education is valuable, then you work harder. But this education is more valuable than anything of this world. So how much more we should commit ourselves to the study of this subject? How much more? So, in every history or every story, there's a subtext. There's a current of meaning, something that's meant to be communicated through that. So, in the history that we've told today about the conversation between Vyasadeva and his guru Narada, and then how he became enlightened, then there should be something to take away, something valuable you can take home with you this evening and keep for the rest of your life. So what is that? What have you learned from this story? Anything?
Always ask you.
Yes, that's the first teaching.
I didn't understand.
She said, always ask your guru. You see, even though Vyasa had compiled all the Vedas, when in his life he was feeling something lacking, then he didn't think, I can figure it out for myself. Let me go to the library and find a self-help book. Teach yourself psychoanalysis or something. He didn't do that. Actually, we cannot see our own faults. We cannot see our own shortcomings. And even if we were to see them, we would not have the power to overcome them by ourselves. That may not be true for some material thing, but in spiritual realm, it's definitely true. You see? You cannot spiritually operate on yourself. You know, even a qualified brain surgeon doesn't try to do it himself. Right? He'll engage another doctor if he has some illness. So, similarly, even though Srila Vyasadeva is so qualified, in order to diagnose what was missing in him and then overcome that shortcoming, he took shelter of his spiritual master. So here the teaching is, just in case there was any shadow of your doubt in your mind, that, well, maybe I don't need a guru, then that doubt should be completely eradicated. Because it's, with all respect, I know that you are not as qualified as Vyasadeva. And so, if Srila Vyasadeva himself needed to take help from his spiritual master, then what to speak about us, mere mortals. So that's the first teaching. Now, the second teaching. This is very important. Srila Vyasadeva had written a lot of philosophical texts. So philosophy, the study of philosophy is called Jnana in Sanskrit. Jnana Yoga, the study of the theory, cultivating knowledge and detachment. But he was not satisfied. Even he had told Jnana, knowledge about Krishna, but about the ontology of Krishna. That Krishna is God, that He's all-pervading, He's all-knowing, the opulences of Krishna. But what he hadn't delineated was the sweetness and beauty of His loving pastimes. So, the teaching here is, you may be even a scholar of the Vedas, and you may be very mentally agile and able to navigate through the dense forest of theological concepts which are presented in Vedanta Sutra and other texts, but still you will not feel satisfied. Why? Because this type of philosophical analysis is like trying to find the root of a tree. If a tree is dying, then you have to give water to the root. So this knowledge leads you to the root, says here's the root. You have to water it, but the knowledge itself is not the act of watering. It's just pointing to you, there it is and this is what you have to do. So, the pastimes of Krishna, hearing the sweet and beautiful, loving pastimes of Krishna, actually, that itself is devotion to God. That is the act of watering the root of existence. It's an anger of bhakti when you hear it, when you chant, when you remember, when you sing the beautiful loving pastimes of Krishna. Now not only did you find the root, but you're engaged in the expressions of love for Krishna. So, only Gyan cannot save you. We have to hear the Leela. Now the next teaching. This is also important. Who's heard of someone named Gautama Buddha? Have you heard of Buddha? So there was about 3,500 years ago, there was the Vishnu Buddha, the son of Anjana. But then later there was the Siddhartha. So Siddhartha was a prince, and he was protected from the trials, the difficulties of life. But one day he went out of the palace without his teacher, and he looked and he saw old people. He'd never seen old people before, only saw young servants and beautiful people serving in the palace. He saw diseased people, people with leprosy and terrible diseases. Even saw a procession was going on. Ram Nam Santahe, Ram Nam Santahe. Means when someone dies in India, then they carry the dead body through the streets to the cremation ground. Ram Nam Santahe means only the name of God is true and eternal. Everything else will be lost. So he saw it. What is that? And he asked his teacher. His teacher said, that's a dead body. And everyone will be like that one day. So he was shocked. What kind of world are we in? Where everyone starts to become attacked by parasites and everyone grows old and dies? There must be some meaning to this. So then he left the palace and he went and he sat in meditation. And gradually, the Gautama Buddha, he went into samadhi. And what did he realize in samadhi? He realized shunya. Shunya means emptiness. Zero. He realized that everything is really actually nothing. And that's Buddhist philosophy. And just going to samadhi. Don't worry. So, Buddha realized everything is nothing, emptiness. You see? Because the Buddhists say that you see these forms around you, but it's just sangat. Sangat means an aggregate of particles. So, for example, if you look in the distance and you see a forest, then you say, there's a forest. But when you actually go there, then if you look, all you see are individual trees. So where's the forest? In other words, the forest was just a word that you invented to describe something. You could not see the separation between the trees. You mixed them all together. You thought they're all one. So you called that a forest. But actually, when you get there, there's no such thing as a forest. There are only individual trees. So in the same way, you're looking at the body of someone in front of you, and you call this is whatever your name is. Martin Wolf. But the Buddhists will say, no, that Martin Wolf is just in your imagination. Because if you get really, really close, you'll see that these are just atoms. And actually he is about 99.9% space. But because you don't see the distance between the moving particles, so you're imagining that it's a sort. So just as there was no such thing as forest, it was just a name that you gave to your misperception. So there's no such thing as Martin Wolf. It's just a name that you gave to your misperception. So ultimately, when you become free from all of these misperceptions and misconceptions, you realize that everything is empty. Shunya, nothing. So that's Buddhism. So now my question is this. Buddha sat in meditation, he went into trance and realized everything was nothing. Vyasadeva also sat and went into trance and he saw the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. So they both went into trance. Why was their experience so radically different? And the reason is, yes? Huh? Yeah, she's saying he didn't have a mantra. But you know, mantras don't go on trees. So where did the mantra come from? From his guru. Right? So Vyasadeva had mantra from his guru. So the difference between Vyasadeva and the Buddha is that Buddha had no guru. So when Buddha went into trance, he realized what everyone who has no guru realizes. Nothing. Understand? These texts are really, really deep. They really have wonderful messages. So here the teaching is that even if you control your mind to go into trance, unless you have a realized guru, you will realize exactly what Buddha realized, zero. Nothing at all. So this third teaching here is that one should have a spiritual master, yes, but the spiritual master should be realized. Because it's the realization of the spiritual master which is transferred into the heart of the disciple through the medium of the mantra. So if the guru has realization when he gives you the mantra, his realization of the divine kingdom will manifest to you. If guru hasn't realization and he gives you the mantra, then this mantra will not be potent. So that's the third teaching. Now, fourth teaching. What language is the Shrimad Bhagavatam written in? Well, I'm not asking people who know. Thank you for your contribution to world peace. So, what language is Srimad Bhagavatam written? Does anyone know? French? Chinese? Sanskrit? Yes. So, yes, it's written in the Sanskrit language. It's true. However, it's not the full story. We can say that the actual language of Shrimad Bhagavatam is samadhi bharsha. That means trance language. Because we can easily talk to each other in this world because we have shared experiences. So our language, language is symbolic. And if we agree what the symbols mean, then we can talk to each other. Right? But if we don't share, we don't have a shared experience, a shared world, and an agreement, a consensus of what the symbols of the parts of the language mean, then I'll speak and you'll speak, but we'll just be like ships in the night. So, in the same way, if a person goes into trance, then when they come out and they try to describe what they've seen, then a person who never went into trance can't understand what they're saying. And so even though the nouns and the verbs and the prefixes and all the particles of the grammar of Shrimad Bhagavatam is Sanskrit, but really, because it came out of Vyasadeva's trance, it's samadhi bharsha, it's trance language. So even though it's written down and you can read it, and you can learn Sanskrit and read it, or you can read the translation, but unless you hear the explanation from a guru who has been in trance, and can teach you also how to go into trance, you can't touch the text. You will not be able to decipher the meaning. So the analogy is given, if there's a jar of honey and the lid is very tight, then a bumblebee might come to taste the honey, but he just licks the glass from the outside. So he's trying to get the honey, but he can't taste how sweet it is. So the Shrimad Bhagavatam is like that. It's like a jar of honey and it's really sweet. But if you try to taste it, you won't be able to. But when we surrender ourselves and conform our life to the instructions of the spiritual master and hear the message from a realized person, then that's just like the Guru just takes off the lid and delicious. Then we can really experience the sweetness of Sri Krishna's pastimes. That's the fourth teaching. Now I'll just tell the fifth. There are about 120 teachings. But I know that you're quite hungry. I can hear your stomachs rumbling. So we'll conclude with one more teaching here. When Srila Vyasadeva manifested this Shrimad Bhagavatam, he became completely satisfied. Now, in previous writings, he'd glorified to a certain degree Krishna, but he hadn't described the romantic love of the gopis of Vrindavan. He hadn't described Gopi Geet, how when Krishna disappears from the Ras Leela, the gopis and Radharani, they're crying on the bank of Jamuna and singing their hearts out in separation from him. He hadn't described the Brahmar Geet, how when Krishna goes far away from Vrindavan to Mathura, then Radharani is so madly in love with Krishna, she starts quarreling with the bumblebee and saying, I know you're a messenger, you came from Krishna. I don't want to hear your negotiations. The beautiful madness of the love of Radharani, Vyasadeva had not revealed. But now, he explained this Gopi's Prem and especially Radharani's Prem. It is said, Yasmin tushte jagat tushtam. When God is pleased, when Krishna is pleased, then satisfied, then you become satisfied. But you know that if you glorify Krishna, then Krishna actually doesn't become fully satisfied. Krishna becomes satisfied when you glorify his girlfriend. Right? So because Vyasadeva had glorified the love of Radha in Shrimad Bhagavatam, then Krishna was completely satisfied, and when Krishna was completely satisfied, then Vyasadeva became satisfied. So the final teaching is Jai Jai Sri Radhe. If you want to be fully satisfied, you have to please Krishna. But you can't please Krishna unless you become Radha Dasi, the maid servant of Shrimati Radharani. And that's the speciality of our tradition, that all the gurus in our line, going back to Rupa Goswami, the direct disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are all in their spiritual identities, the dasis, the maid servants of Radharani. So that is ultimately the inner meaning and message, the treasure of the entire Shrimad Bhagavatam. Guru-Purnima. So thank you so much for your patience. So now we'll complete our program with a kirtan. And I just want to point out the nature of the ceremony here. There are 5 groups of 5 personalities. Sorry, 7 groups of 5 personalities, that's right. So in the middle, you have the Krishna Panchakam. So the central personality is Krishna, of course, surrounded by his quadruple expansions, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudeva. Then, behind here, you have Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasa, the speaker of Shrimad Bhagavatam, surrounded by the acharyas of the four main Vaishnava Sampradayas, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishnuswami and Nimbadita. Then we have here the four Kumaras and Vishvaksena. These are great devotees of Lord Narayan. And then, let me see, on this side we have Srila Vyasadeva and Sumanta Rishi, Jaimini, Paila and Vaisampayan, the four disciples to whom he entrusted the four Vedas. Yeah, afterwards you should come close and maybe from about here, take a photo. It's very beautiful. So then we have, and then here we have the Tattva Panchakam, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Shri Sari Gaurabhata. And then here we have what is called Upasya Panchakam. That means the objects of our worship. So that is our spiritual master, Gaur Gadadhar and Radha Krishna. So Radha Krishna is our main object of worship. And we serve them through Guru. And in this age of Kali, they have appeared as Gaur Gadadhar. So all of these personalities, if they had not appeared in this world, then there would be no way that we would receive the knowledge of the Vedas. It would have evaporated, it would have disappeared long ago. And therefore we're all very indebted to them. And today we're expressing our gratitude for their kindness by doing their puja. So Vrindavan Vilasini, you can blow the conch and offer arti. Just offer arti collectively to them all. And you should expand yourself into 7 forms to worship them all individually. And so while you do that puja, we'll sing a kirtan, and then after that there will be a feast of Mahaprasad. Gaur Premanande.